What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another FSD supervised video. My name is Chris, and I don't even know how long it's been. I think it's been a couple of months since we've really made one of these videos. It's been a long time since Tesla's updated FSD. What is going on over there? I don't know. There's a lot of speculation that Tesla is spending time on robotaxi stuff, and so that's why we're not really getting any updates on the public cars. Robotaxi is supposed to still come out in June in Austin in small geofenced areas. We'll see if that happens. It sounds like it is happening, but you never know. So FSD still in the Cybertruck does not want to go from a stop. So I'm going to give it one little tap here on the accelerator, and now it will continue on. Whereas in the Model Y, it actually does a great job. It'll come out of a parking spot. It'll take itself out of park, go into reverse, and then go into drive and drive away. Meanwhile, Cybertruck on the exact same FSD version can't even start to move from a stop. And you have to put it into drive. It cannot go into reverse. I've been kind of complaining about that for a while, but it is what it is as of now. Let's look at the version. I actually don't think I have done a downtown drive on this version. Let me look here. Software. How do I even do any of this? FSD 13.2.8. So definitely a 13.2. something I've been downtown with FSD, but I don't think this version I've taken downtown. So let's go downtown, drive around, kind of just chat. I'm also trying out some new camera stuff, so let me know what you think of that. I've been trying to, work on that as we've had this lull and kind of make the future videos better. Slowing down nicely here for the speed bump. Oh, very good. So let me know what you think of the camera angles, if you think it's worth it, whatever. Cybertruck already, of course, gets stared at pretty often. You add a giant camera hanging off the back, it's going to make people stare even more. But you know what? That's fine. It's not a big deal. So we're going to go through here now. This first part is something, some tests I've done in the past. I've called it pedestrian square, where I kind of go around this area where there's usually a lot of pedestrians. It's lunchtime. There's just like a food court over here. Everyone's walking around in between classes and stuff. So we'll let it go through this area, and then we will continue on into like the busier downtown. But my goal is that most of this, holy moly, that guy's going fast. Most of this video will have a good amount of like pedestrian and then vehicle traffic for us to contend with here. So let's see. We need to go past the couple of turns here, and then actually, that's probably it. I could probably take this out now. This first one, sorry about that. I'm like rusty on doing all this stuff, the name of my Cybertruck. So not stopping for those pedestrians, which actually they didn't walk in front of us, so that turned out to be the right decision. But what is this? Yeah, that's what I want to do. We'll try this out and see how it does in the downtown area. Let me know what you guys have been kind of up to and doing with FSD, if it's been a good experience for you or whatever. For me, I just still have my same kind of Cybertruck complaints. It is so much more timid than the Model Y. The Cybertruck, especially, man, it'll like nicely pull up to like a stop sign or something, and then it goes to make a turn and it slows down to like 1 mile an hour and like will not, like on right turns, it'll just barely move. And it gets really frustrating. So I've been talking about, should probably be its own whole video. Very nice moving forward here. I've been talking about moving from the Cybertruck to the new Model Y, or even like a performance Model 3 looks really good. I don't know what it is. I just kind of got an itch at some point for really like a performance Tesla. But then I'm looking at, the cost, the interest rates, and it should be its own whole video here. So we'll stop for these pedestrians. Nice job with that. See if anyone else, so other people walking out in front of us. See if we get any eggs thrown at us or middle fingers. So I found for the most part around this area, most people don't seem to care. It's Cybertruck, so people look at it, but beyond that, it's not been a big deal. And we're in Ann Arbor now, which is, would be the place for the craziness to happen. But hopefully things are calming down with all that. I think it was kind of like a lot of craziness, and then, people move on and forget. So yeah, let's let FSD take us into downtown here and see how it does, and I will catch up with you when we get down there. So a little bit of construction to contend with here. I'm looking at the turn signal showing that we're moving into normally this lane you would not be driving in, even going over a double yellow. Really nice there, and we have to actually drive in the turning lane the entire time due to these cones. And I got to say, it actually feels really good. The older versions of FSD would do this, but they'd be here, and you could tell the whole time they just wanted to get out of this lane because they weren't comfortable driving in a lane that you wouldn't normally drive. Wow, look at this. They weren't comfortable with that, and they just constantly be doing this. And it seems like, it feels like, just sitting in the driver's seat, that the FSD is really taking into account, like, all right, there's cones holding us here. This is where we're supposed to be, which is the way to do it. So slowing down nicely for this guy. He knows I'm on FSD. Is that what that was? He gave me the two hands. I'm guessing he knows I was on FSD. That's really funny. So we go around that final cone. I mean, man, that was super smooth. That felt really good. That makes me feel good because I just remember older versions of FSD, again, being able to do that, but really janky, really didn't feel good. That felt perfect. That is exactly the same way I would have driven it, and I think most other people, maybe even better than a lot of people handle those traffic cone scenarios. So really nice there. All right, so I edited our trip there. FSD is yelling at me. Oh, it's actually going to park here. That is kind of my fault. I left it a little too long. I'm just gonna hit the accelerator here so it keeps driving. And let's see what it'll do with this left turn. Yeah, that was not the best way to do that. It's actually done that in the past. I'm gonna report that, where that was not a turning lane. You could blame me a little bit for that because I did cut it off. I did change the route kind of at a weird time, but the FSD should kind of be smart enough to be like, okay, this isn't a left turn lane. It's a straight lane only, so we should just continue straight and maybe take the next, available opportunity there. So half me, half FSD will say on that one. But I will say in the past, it's done that exact same mistake where I wasn't messing with the nav. So it's definitely something weird there. They still have this, that I should have taken over and put it over there. This construction has been there for years. And like this exact same setup has been there for years at this point. And FSD throughout the years, like version 11 couldn't do it at all. Version 12 was doing it pretty good, but sometimes would kind of mess up. And then version 13, again, like for the most part can do it well, but actually has still gotten stuck there even in the latest version 13. Wow, lots of construction going on here. That's good, fun for us. It's saying that this lane's gonna end. There's a lot of signs. So I as a human see, oh, left lane is ending here. I should be moving over, but FSD, it doesn't like read those signs. So I guess now maybe it can see up there that it's closed and it wants to move over, but it really should have done that a lot earlier. Now we're kind of awkwardly, blocking this lane, which I don't think matters because I don't think you can turn left up here anyway. So this lane's not being used, but still, it's just, I would have gotten over sooner and been correctly in my lane, not like in between two lanes like I am right now. But there we go. We do move over. I do appreciate it was early enough. It wasn't super last minute. We were trying to squeeze in front of people. We didn't get in anyone's way, so it was handled. That one we really nicely moved over as soon as we were able to get ready for this left turn. We're going to slow down here, and there is somebody in the crosswalk, so we're going to wait for them. Really nice. It doesn't even begin to turn until she is way out of the way. Really good there. That's kind of a tricky one because, if you're paying attention, it's obvious that somebody's going across the crosswalk like that, but you really could get ahead of them and not really notice if they start, the cross too late. So either way, FSD is kind of always looking in all directions, so it can handle that stuff a little better than humans. And then look at this. We're actually moving into the straight lane. Wow, I can't believe it. This intersection has gone from broken to fixed to broken to fixed. A lot of times FSD stays in that left turn lane. All right, let's see if I can make it not goofy this time. A lot of times FSD would stay in that left turn lane and still go straight when it wasn't supposed to. Sometimes it actually would be in that left turn lane and just get in it stuck in like an infinite loop because it would keep turning left even though it wanted to go straight. But hey, happy to see that time it very correctly moved into that straight lane as it was supposed to. All right, so we got stuck at the yellow. she's mad. The Cybertruck got in the walkway. There we go. I'll hit the report button and I'll report that. So she's mad that I'm in the walkway, but people are still able to get by. And she's right. Cybertruck moved into the walkway and then just stopped right here in people's ways. The Model Y could, you know, move out of the way. It can go into reverse. I don't think it would in that scenario. But yep, Cybertruck did the wrong thing. She was totally right about that. I wonder if she would have been as, you know, pushy with me if I wasn't in a Cybertruck, but you never know. So man, this thing does not want to go. I'm going to hit the accelerator there because it's just barely moving. I'm not sure why it wouldn't go there. There was nobody in our way at all at that point. So I did have to intervene and give it an accelerator tap. So we got the green here. We got really goofy painted lines. You got to see the yellow in the middle. Again, was for the construction that was here. It's not anymore, unfortunately. But Cybertruck, the display wasn't even showing any yellow there. So really smart on its part to just totally ignore that. But it was kind of weird to me too to see that there. All right, so this one I'm going to take over. It made it to our destination, but I want to go right because that's going to be way more difficult. And now that I'm saying that out loud, I actually don't want to do it, but I will. It's for the video. Nobody in their right mind would go this way. And I actually think a lot of the reason Cybertruck is picking, or I should say FSD is picking the routes that it's picking, is because there's way less traffic on those routes. Now, I'm not saying that FSD says, oh, there's less traffic, it'll be easier for me, but the nav will avoid traffic, right, to kind of get you to your destination faster. So I guess I should say not Cybertruck, not FSD, but the nav is picking kind of the fastest route, and I'm trying to take more difficult routes for us. So I'm just going to make this right turn here for us. Obviously not a takeover for FSD. See how I'm kind of creeping towards this pedestrian? FSD sometimes waits a little too long there. And then we have this guy who stopped with hazards, so that's not very polite, but I will put FSD on and let it handle this. So for sure we can go around, but the traffic to our left is in the way, so we can't yet. And let's see if FSD will go around. So we got the left turn signal on, like we're going to go around. It's thinking about it. I can also see that they are about to start driving. So this is where FSD needs the little honk ability. There we go. So they did actually get out of the way, and FSD turns off that turn signal and continues. So I believe if I was in that situation, I probably would have been around them already, but really, I wouldn't say that was handled too poorly. And then this intersection is always pretty busy with pedestrians and traffic and stuff. So again, FSD is super safe, and it should be, but sometimes it makes it so these harder scenarios, like we saw where we were on the on the crosswalk, it never makes it because it's like almost too safe. But I think right here we'll have a big enough gap after these pedestrians and go. So you're like, go. All right, I got to hit the accelerator there because there's nobody in our way and it's not moving. So I'm going to press my camera button that moved all the way to the other side of the screen for some reason. Hint, hint. And we'll continue there. So there's our second intervention there. And so again, that's basically my complaint. And maybe I'm more sensitive to it since I'm used to driving the Model Y, and the Model Y is so, so much better. Maybe if I didn't drive the Model Y all the time, I wouldn't think about it as much. But in that scenario, I don't expect the Model Y would have been stuck. I think it would have been creeping long before those pedestrians were even out of the crosswalk, and then it would have made that turn no problem. Whereas Cybertruck just sits there. It's too cautious compared to Model Y. And it's a hard thing for me to complain too much about because it's a self-driving car, blah, 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 blah. It's got to be safe. I understand. Safety is number one about everything. I would 1,000 times rather it not make a turn than it run into somebody, right? So we're slowing here, and they're gonna let us go. That slowness I'm perfectly fine with. So it's hard. You really got to balance the safety with, the actually fitting in with the rest of traffic and everything. But yeah, so that's how it feels from the driver's seat anyway. All right, and with that, I think that's pretty good. We made that right turn. We're gonna make another couple of turns here to get to where I need to go. See how that handles this right turn. But overall, that was actually really impressive. I was pretty happy with that. We had the 2 accelerator presses, but again, it's always better kind of to be extra safe. I'd much rather have that be my intervention than having to hit the brake because it was going to run into something. And I got to say, the really early versions of Cybertruck were braking too late. a lot of the time. Not that it ever hit anything, but there were times I was like, whoa, that is scary. And I would often take over with the first couple versions of Cybertruck for quick stops. That's completely eliminated, and to have the opposite problem, I'm more than happy with. That's perfectly fine to just tap the accelerator, especially again, it's FSD supervised still, I get it. We're going to have a very small area soon here in June that has unsupervised, I'm guessing with Model Ys, and then maybe some robotaxis after that. I don't know, but that's my guess. So yeah, we're at 7.8 miles. First of all, thank you, Tesla, for giving me my decimals back on the miles. That is huge. I don't know about the decimals on the watt hours per mile. That seems a little... I think that unit's kind of small enough, but whatever, it doesn't hurt anything. And I think we started at like 1.9 miles. So let's say we're at about 6 miles of driving here with 2 interventions and 0 disengagements, nothing safety critical. So really nice drive there. It felt really good, besides like, some of the slowness and hesitation and stuff. But beyond that, feels really nice. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I look forward to an FSD update soon, hopefully. And I look forward to talking to you down in the comments.